I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
I love to see it. Crackdowns. We keep saying that nothing's going to happen, but now it's happening all around us. America first means Americans first. When these companies that are bitching and complaining now about losing all of their slave labor, well, let me tell you what these companies are not about to do. They're not about to buckle, shut down shop, and just basically cease to exist. No, what they're going to do is they're going to pay Americans a respectable wage to do a respectable job. You know, to see how addicted so many corporations, and I'll be honest, once upon a time, I myself was addicted to the slave labor. Instead of hiring an American that would come in and do the job right, I would find people that would do the job fast and do it for cheap. And I literally shot myself in the foot a few times doing that. For things like cleaning, even then you got to worry too. Because now some of the illegals that are here have been here so long that they feel entitled to behave like they're just Americans now with expectations, and they won't even do the job that you're paying them for because they don't really need to. They'll threaten you. I mean, it's all the benefits are pretty much gone from using slave labor anyway. But for these other companies that have been choosing to hire slaves, and the reason I say they're slaves is because they're paid under the table. They have no benefits. If something happened to them, they're cut off. And oftentimes, this is what a lot of companies do. They hire a bunch of them and they'll say, hey, you're going to come work here for a month. Everyone's going to get paid in a month. And they bring them, they get people, they help smuggle them across the border. They hire them. And then 2 days before they're supposed to pay them, they call immigration themselves and they have all the people picked up. And it's such a dog eat dog world out there when it comes to the illegals, especially since they're all cutthroat too. It's not like other illegals are going to learn from that mistake and say, hey, wait a minute. This company is literally just they're just having people working and not paying them. I'm not going to go. No. They have no problems being scabs either. They'll go over there and stab him, cut the throat of one of their countrymen to go take one of those jobs because it's money over everything. And that goes for these companies as well. But that's going to change. And I love to see how much is happening so fast. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Federal agents arrested nearly 500 people during an immigration raid in Georgia earlier this week. Homeland Security officials called it the largest single-site enforcement operation in the agency's history. It happened at a Hyundai electrical vehicle manufacturing plant in Ellabelle, about 25 miles west of Savannah. Most of those detained were South Korean nationals. It is
South Korean nationals. You know, my question is, who's the person organizing all of these South Koreans to magically end up in a place called Ellabelle, Georgia? Who was the person that literally was like, okay, let me get all these people together, let me get them here? Who organized that? That person also must be arrested and held to account as well. And what's the hiring process? I mean, you're working with products that can explode, that are hazardous. What if they're not? What if it's not being done properly? If the people that are working on the assembly line are illegals, then how lax must the safety inspections be? The people who are working on these volatile projects are not even legal. They're not even citizens. So there really can't be much of a process where you're checking for the quality of work, and there must not be much safety and standards, because clearly you'd want to know the certification of the people who are working on the products, but you won't be able to ask those questions if they're illegal. So how lax is the policy at this plant? What are they not telling you? What could possibly be going wrong? Is that why some of these cars are faulty? They're falling apart. People are magically ending up in these tragic accidents. The brakes aren't working, the doors won't open. Well, look at who you're hiring for your labor. They can't be professionals because they don't have an education, not from here. So you're saying you were fully educated in these systems, and instead of just staying and working in South Korea, you decide to illegally migrate across the world to the United States to work at a plant? I don't buy it. It doesn't even make sense.
The latest in a string of workplace raids by the Trump administration as part of the president's mass deportation push. Skylar Henry has more.
All yours.
Video filmed inside the plant shows armed Homeland Security agents executing a search warrant Thursday.
We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
Officers can be seen outside, rounding up hundreds of workers in yellow vests. Nearly 500 people were arrested. The majority were South Korean nationals. U.S. officials said all had either entered the country illegally, overstayed their visas, or were not authorized to work. Stephen Schrank is the special agent in charge.
So you got all these goddamn illegals here. You know, when Americans are telling me that they're applying for these jobs and they won't get, and they're not being hired, I'm like wondering, why won't they hire you? You're qualified. You went to school. Well, how can you compete with a slave? Can you understand? Okay, for one thing, I've seen these type of operations. I remember when I lived in Arizona, I lived on the, what is it? I guess like the west side, kind of. There was a mall called Metro Mall. And I lived in these luxury apartments over there. And I was working for a corporate housing company. And next to me was a big office. But then there was also a really nice apartment building next to the office. The entire complex was just people that were Indian or from Bangladesh or Pakistani. The entire apartment complex. And they would have their wife, and they always had a newborn baby. And I'm looking like, where are all these people coming from? And they were just literally working customer service jobs, tech support jobs, but they were coming in on those H-1 visas. Why? These are jobs that Americans can be doing. There are unemployed Americans everywhere who would love to jump on an opportunity to work at a plant for a company like Hyundai. They wouldn't scoff there. Oh, I'm too good. What? Too good for what? Too good to get money? Anybody would work. And you know their experience, you know their credentials, they're from here. You can actually do a background check and you can look into their references. You have zero idea who these people are coming from another country. They likely do not speak English. So you don't really, and then you don't know the quality of the work they're doing. And here they are working on cars that literally people put their families in and we trust with our lives every single day. Also that they don't have to pay taxes and they can save money on labor by literally importing slaves. So the way it works when you're importing these people, I'm sure there's an apartment complex where they have all 500 of these people from the Georgia plant where they all live. How did they get approved for these apartments with no social security cards and no, they probably don't have checks, so they don't have proof of income, but yet someone's housing them. See, there's a whole subsection of society that's off the books that's enabling all of this illegal activity to happen. Now, when you're an American and you're doing illegal activity, you're held to account. You're arrested, you're charged. I don't like the fact that people in America are starting to have a problem with you holding illegal immigrants to our same laws. The whole notion of rules for me, but not for thee, that cannot be allowed. And I always say that. If Americans are going to be arrested for certain charges, everyone has to be equal under the color of law. You cannot have exemptions for someone because they're an illegal. What kind of sense does that even make? It's in their description. They're illegal. They've already broken the law by overstaying their visas or coming here illegally across the border. And they still aren't registered. Some of these people have been here for 20 years, and you still really have no idea who they are or what they're running from. You don't know. But here we are at a plant in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, hundreds, possibly even thousands of jobs taken away from Americans. and given to slaves. I thought this country was so against slavery. I thought you hate slavery and everyone who's a slave. So now the slave masters are basically just managers and owners of these corporations that are hiring the slaves. Yes, they're getting paid something, but it's not what an American would get paid. And if they make any complaints or if there's any issues, you're fired. There's no HR for an illegal. You don't have any rights. Get the fuck out of here. As a matter of fact, you lose your apartment too, and we're sending you back home. They punish these people because they live inside this underground society that has its own set of rules. That society cannot exist when we have a predominant society above that has laws that must be abided by. We cannot allow a completely separate society to build underneath us, and it's literally stripping wages and opportunities away from Americans. Again, the Trump agenda, the America First agenda, means Americans first as well. And that's why we need more of these raids. We need more crackdowns. We cannot allow this to continue.
Together, we are sending a clear and unequivocal message that those who exploit our workforce, undermine our economy, and violate federal laws will be held accountable.
The massive $7.6 billion battery plant, a joint venture between South Korean companies LG and Hyundai, covers nearly 3,000 acres and is the largest economic project in Georgia's history.
Can you imagine what people in Georgia were thinking when they first heard about this push? I'm sure they were ecstatic. Hyundai, LG, thousands of acres of land. There's going to be buildings. And then there's just going to be jobs for everyone. We're going to be able to employ people graduating from college, and people don't have to leave the small town and go to the city to find work. Now they'll be able to stay here close to home. And there'll be work for Americans. Wrong. We're wrong. You think they're opening these new plants. You think they're bringing jobs. What if I told you they're bringing plants, but they're also importing the employees? They don't even need you. If it wasn't for Trump, they would not even need you because they can just pay a slave from another country. And they're going to pay a little bit of a vig on top of that to whoever's orchestrating getting them here and coordinating everything. But it's still going to be less than what they got to pay an American. If that's not exploitation, then what is? And it was happening. These are companies that are working with local politicians, the governor, Kemp. Think about it. These are people out of Georgia. What do they think about all this? Did they know that Americans were not being hired because illegals are filling these positions? Illegals who you have no idea who they are. They tell you they're from South Korea, but you don't know shit about South Korea. You don't even speak Korean. And all this is happening while they're working on cars. Jobs that Americans traditionally in the Rust Belt would do. Why is there a battery plant in Georgia? Why won't, when there's already plants in Michigan that are closed that can be reopened? There's plants in Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh. The hell are we doing down in Georgia? And then you're not even hiring Georgian American citizens from Georgia. You're just importing your own labor. It's crazy to me. People want to talk to me about the transatlantic slave trade. I tell people I don't believe that even ever happened. For one thing, nobody would be able to survive the trip as a slave from Africa. For two, there was no need to import labor to the colonies when there were already people living in these lands. All you had to do was fight them, conquer them, capture them, and put them to work. It made no economical sense to import people to be slaves when you already have people here that could be slaves. So that didn't make any sense. But now it does because they're building these plants and they're bringing in their own slaves because they can't enslave the people here. That's the only thing. The difference, back in the 1700s, they could enslave the locals. You can't really do that anymore. So they're bringing in their own slaves from other countries. How do these people even feel about that? Well, they don't speak English, so you can't really do an interview. And there's too many consequences. They have their own separate police forces, from what I hear, that monitor this subset of people from these other countries. And they report back to leadership in these other countries. They can have you arrested. They can have you sent back. And they can punish your family if you step out of line. That's not just for the Chinese that are over here working. That also goes for the South Koreans too, and for anyone else. Because there's always somebody in their home country that's organizing, sending them here. They're not just arbitrarily coming up with this bright idea and figuring out how to traverse the world with children in tow. No, obviously someone's helping them. That cannot be allowed to continue. For one thing, they should be happy we're stopping the slave trade. I thought we didn't want slavery. If the country wants slavery, vote on it. But as far as I'm concerned, as of right now, no one wants slavery. So this has to stop. And I'm glad if it wasn't for Trump, this will still be going on. But everybody who's making money off of this involved needs to be held accountable, or they're going to do it again. We got to stop it permanently.
On behalf of all Georgians, I want to thank you.
3 years ago, Governor Brian Kemp welcomed its opening. Authorities alleged the plant had been under investigation for what it said were illegal practices for months.
There's helicopters, Humvees, Georgia State Police.
Production supervisor Casey Deacon was at the facility when the raid took place.
I would assume they would continue, production. However, with that significant loss with personnel, I don't know how they're going to go forward.
Hyundai and...
Well, I can give you some pointers if you need to. I guess I'm a specialist more so than she is. Well, the first thing you do is you have a fucking job fair. And then for the second thing you do, answer number 1. Throw a job fair. Put up postings that we are hiring. Tell people what positions you're hiring for and what are the requirements. Give us the same requirements that you're giving these goddamn illegals. Extremely low, but you're going to have to pay us. I'm not saying you got to pay $1 billion an hour, but you're going to have to pay Americans a fair wage. Now, if that doesn't work with your business model, then too fucking bad. Don't do business over here. Somebody else will take your place. But no more hiring slaves to steal jobs from Americans while literally giving a finger to our law enforcement and disrespecting our immigration laws. We cannot, this can't continue like this. It's unsustainable long term anyway.
LG said that they are cooperating with law enforcement. All of this comes just a week after the South Korean president met with President Trump at the White House to talk about trade and tariffs. The Korean president pledged $150 billion by Korean companies to the U.S., and that includes $26 billion by Hyundai. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Scott.
Yeah, to hell with Hyundai. But guess what? They are going to be forced to hire Americans. They don't have a choice anymore. The feds are now on the job. They're not going to let the slave labor just start back up again like it did under previous administrations. This administration's not playing, and I love to see it. Let's see here. It's also happening in other places too.
Immigration crackdown here in Southern California will now be doing the very same thing in Chicago. Sources tell our NBC News team that Gregory Bovino will lead enforcement operations there starting this month. Bovino is a Border Patrol chief in Texas, but was tapped by the Trump administration to head its immigration enforcement campaign. It remains unclear how long he will run operations in the L.A. area.
We've been reporting on how some people say they are afraid to go to work because of immigration concerns, and now there appears to be...
If you're afraid to go to work because of immigration concerns, then that means you have not actually finished your paperwork and you have not went through the proper steps to become a citizen. If you're afraid to go to work, then you need to self-deport. Please do not force us to come arrest you and deport you, because then you're not going to be able to come back. But why would you want to come back? You don't respect our laws. You don't respect our culture. You don't even respect our flag enough to want to become a citizen. You don't want to put your hand up and say, I'm an official American and I'm proud to be here. I'm grateful for the country. You don't even want to speak the language most of the time. So this video is going to go over your head. But yet you want to fight tooth and nail, and you got these fucking liberals that want to fight with you so that you can stay here in this country and circumvent our laws. But yet me as an American, I don't have the luxury to circumvent our laws. Shit, I've lived in Mexico before. I live in the South. I live in another country right now. If I don't get my visa and if I overstay, they will come, kick in my door, and they will deport the hell out of me. They don't give a damn about that I'm an American. They don't even give a shit. There's laws in place anywhere you go. Stop pretending that America is unique. We are not the only country with laws. Rules and law are everywhere. If you want to go somewhere without laws and where you can do whatever you want to do, find a colony somewhere in Africa or in Antarctica. But in most civilized nations, there are rules, there are laws, and you will follow them. That includes immigration laws. Everyone has them. It's not unique to the United States. Not at all.
Data shows just how many people have been affected. Census data shows the number of immigrant workers declined by more than 1 million from January through July. NBC4's Amber Frias is live outside a Home Depot in Downey with more on the numbers and the impact on the workforce. Amber.
Hey, Carolyn, we spent most of the day in this Home Depot parking lot here in Downey, and I can tell you we saw very few day laborers. And in speaking with people, they tell us it's not normally like this. And then down the street, we also visited a car wash, and their management told us they're hurting for workers.
La renta, la familia.
Every morning, Jesus, who has asked to remain anonymous out of fear of being detained by ICE, waits outside a Home Depot parking lot, hoping for work.
Aquí éramos por lo menos unos 20.
He
won't even learn the fucking language? How disrespectful. You know, and I'm Latino. I'm from an immigrant family. We all speak English, but we all didn't have to. We have friends. We have other relatives who wanted to come to the United States and said, fuck the Americans, fuck their culture. Literally escaped communism, came to America to just try to live a communist lifestyle over here. Wanted to live off of the government and get government assistance and scam the system. Don't want to work. Don't want to get immigration. Don't want to learn English. Don't want to learn how to read and write in English, but yet want to be in this country. Go back home. I tell that to my people. I tell that to any people. Go back to where you're originally from. You don't want to learn a language. You don't want to conform. You don't want to assimilate. That's fine. Get the fuck out. Oh, I don't have to leave. Well, yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Or you're going to be hiding behind trees and poles for however many years this is going to take. But eventually they will find you. Your best bet is to take the money they're offering you to self-deport. You don't even speak the language anyway. That means you don't really care to be here. You're not even trying to speak the language. It's not like you're speaking broken English, zero English, but have been here for multiple years. Make it make sense. You know, people bring up Americans. Okay, well, Americans go to other countries. They at least try to learn the language, or they're not there for long. They'll leave. When they get deported, they leave. If they're disrespectful, they get kicked out. These people over here just expect the laws to be turned off when it comes to them indefinitely. No. As an American, again, if I break the laws, I'm immediately handled. No one's going to say, oh, well, he's an American, so the laws don't apply to him, but no, that's not fair. How is it that I can go to jail forever, but illegals can break the law, but they don't get the same type of punishment? They don't even get arrested? We cannot, that's a double standard that can never be accepted. I won't accept it. It's not fair. The laws have to be equally applied to everyone, equally, not just a certain people or a preferred class of people. That's out.
Says in the past, anywhere from 20 to 25 men would stand beside him. But in recent months, that all changed. Today, we counted only 4 men. Researchers say this isn't just a local issue. It's part of a nationwide trend reshaping the workforce. A Pew Research Center analysis shows more than 1.2 million immigrants left the labor force between January and July.
Then that means there should be 1.2 million openings for jobs. But what these companies are doing is they're still refusing to hire Americans, hoping that they're going to cause enough pain when it comes to the pockets of Americans from buying their goods. The prices are going to go up. What they're hoping is that Americans are going to revolt and fight against the administration and say, no, we want these people to be immune from law enforcement. We want these people to actually be above the law. They're betting that Americans are going to get so upset about all the pain it's going to be for the wallet when these services go up, and that's why they're not hiring more people. They're thinking Americans are going to be just so mad that the government's just going to cave and say, fine, you don't have to worry about laws. You don't have to worry about immigration. Just go do whatever you want to do. Bring in illegals, hire them. No. That's not even fair. Now, for years, a blind eye has been turned, but now the focus is in on immigration. And that is, we shouldn't have had periods of time where we didn't have to enforce the laws on people, where we were just kind of just letting bygones be bygones and let the companies tell us, hey, we need the labor. It's going to make everything cheaper, but it's a net negative. See, the problem is when you bring in these people from the third world, right? Initially, they're working and they're happy. The problem is they have children that are then born here. And before Trump took office, they were be giving citizenship because they were born on American soil, even if they were born to illegals. Those children are pretty much Americanized. They feel that America now owes them. They no longer have the gratitude and appreciation for the country. They have a disdain for the country, unlike their parents who probably fought tooth and nail to get here. But their kids did not. So their kids don't want to work those jobs. So their kids are really just now creating a problem for the government. They're getting the assistance, they're living off the programs. If they don't, and then they're also fighting and protesting so that their parents can stay here and break the law, still get benefits. And if they run for office and they get into power, they're literally looking out for their own people first. They even wave foreign flags. They're not waving the American flag. There's no way you can be America first waving a foreign flag. That's why now they've removed birthright citizenship. You and your kids can go with you. Self-deport. Please don't force us to keep doing it. But you know what? People need jobs and we need more agents. And this is going to stimulate the economy by giving people a job when it comes to removing illegals, then so be it. If this country's so evil and Trump's Hitler, then everybody should want to just get the fuck out and get as far away from Hitler and Trump as possible. So do that. Go back to your home country where you're safe, where you're happy, and there's no white supremacy. Or if you're claiming to be of African descent, African American, you can return to Africa. There's no Trump there. Trump's not going to chase you. Go home. There's no laws over there. You can go do whatever you want. But trying to change the structure of how this country is ran and its systems so that it suits your needs so that you can break the law, that's not going to work. And again, it's not sustainable long term. It's just not.
Including people here legally. The recent report doesn't specify immigration enforcement as the cause, but some researchers say the timing is no coincidence.
It's showing us that non-citizens are essential to the fabric of our society.
Edward Flores with the UC Merced community.
No, it's essential to the pockets of those who are benefiting from slave labor, but it's actually hurting the bottom line of American citizens who are not being hired for these same jobs. Now, when these illegals are removed, eventually these companies are going to have to hire American. And that's what we're going to have to, and that's why we have to stay the course.
And the Labor Center reviewed census data for the state of California during the week of June 8th, when immigration enforcement operations intensified in LA.
We found that there was a decline of 3.1% in the number of persons reporting work in the private sector in California. This translates into 465,000 fewer Californians in the past 4 decades. Only the COVID-19 pandemic and the Great Recession surpassed the decline in private sector work that we just saw in California.
Flores.
Too bad. Hire American. Go cry somewhere else. Really and truly, you shouldn't even listen to people that are like him who are giving advice or speaking about numbers. They live in a different society than we live in. They want this place to be a democracy. He's obviously LGBTQP. We are a constitutional republic. We've never been a democracy and we will never be a democracy. But they're trying to start their new society amongst us. They're going to learn the hard way. It was safer for them just to leave and try to build a colony somewhere else on their own instead of trying to destroy us from the inside. They're not going to win. They're not going to survive it either.
Says the drop isn't just a number.
If crops are not harvested, they're not transported, they're not sold. If non-citizens are afraid to go out or to shop,
then hire fucking citizens. Non-citizens are scared, hire citizens. You got nothing to be afraid of. If guess what? If your company only exists because of slave labor, then you won't fucking exist then. They told the same thing when they said the South, the Confederacy, and Kentucky, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama said the states are going to fold. Our entire economies are going to go belly up if we lose this slave labor. Did the union give a fuck? No. Right now, they're saying the same thing at these companies in California. And does the federal government give a fuck? No, and they should not. They should not. Americans first. If you require illegal slave labor to stay afloat and be in business, then guess what? You won't be in business. Close down. And another company that does the exact same thing as you will open, and we will hire Americans.
Consumer spending and business activity are reduced.
The ripple effect is already hitting small businesses.
Right now, we've been struggling to find people that want to work.
Carlos runs his family's car wash. He also asked to remain anonymous out of fear his business would be targeted. He says the car wash has been raided twice.
Usually around these times, we make from 3,000 to like 5, like a daily, maybe 2 days. Right now, we're making not even half of that.
Back at Home Depot, Jesus says even contractors have stopped showing up.
Yo del rato que tengo aquí, ese es lo peor que he visto.
It's the worst I've seen it. Unfortunately, we can't do anything, he says.
Well, Jesus, you actually can do something. You can self-deport. You can go back to your home country. You can figure it out. If your success requires you to scam our immigration policy and to subvert our laws, then you will not have success. We can't give up and throw our laws and our constitution, throw them out the window just to appease people who feel like they're too good to follow the same rules as Americans. Even though you're not an American, being an American is a privilege. You don't even have that privilege. But here you are behaving as if you're entitled. You are not. America owes you shit. None of us American people owe you nothing either. Become a citizen, but you need to self-deport until then. If not, we're going to just continue to raids, and we're going to continue cleaning out these companies. They will eventually buckle and be forced to hire Americans. America first. So I'll be back in another segment in about 20 minutes. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any comments, we are on 8 platforms right now. Just leave it, and I'll go through and answer them. I'm also looking for some graphic designers who can help me with better thumbnails as well. Thank you, Club Rico, the Single Boyfriend, Right Wing Rico, and follow us on Rumble as well, the Single Boyfriend. Club Rico. Thank you.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.